You have been tired of going around the same cycles over and over and over again. It's like Groundhog Day, where it's a different person, a different situation, but it's the same thing over and over and over again. Hi, I'm Dr. Cindy Joseph. I'm a licensed psychologist who's had a spiritual awakening. And in that process, I have learned quantum physics and metaphysics and read over 40 books that have allowed me to get a deeper understanding on how psychology, quantum physics, and metaphysics come together beautifully in a beautiful marriage. But today I want to talk to you about how to break that cycle, how to challenge yourself to move outside of your way and out of this pattern that seems to have like a chokehold on you. What I'm talking about is what typically happens for individuals who encountered traumatic experiences, where something in life happened that has completely shifted and changed the way that you think, the way that you feel, about life in general. You move different now. You don't talk to people the same. You don't trust as easily. You don't hang around the same crowd. You don't enjoy the way that you used to care freely enjoy. Everything is different. And you find yourself coming across the same type of circumstance over and over and over again. It's like a perpetual loop, and it needs to stop, and it can stop. So, what I want to explain to you is how trauma occurs. Now, we're all familiar with the fight or flight response, but I want to take it back a little bit and unpeel the layer into the mechanics of fight or flight. See, what happens is when you encounter a traumatic experience, your brain, which is made of the midbrain and the frontal lobe and also the brain stem, but the midbrain is the most archaic, the oldest part of your brain. And in that portion is your amygdala, your hippocampus, your pineal gland, all these different regions that control your memory, your emotions, your hormonal release, your essentially your entire fight or flight response, your libido, your heart rate. It even controls your sleep and wake cycle. And so in this part of your brain, you encounter a stressful event. And in encountering that stressful event, your brain captures that moment. Now, you are encountering that moment and you feel like you need to react very quickly, but the brain is capturing that moment, every essence of that moment. Think about it. Anything that smelled is capturing the sight, all the vivid details, the emotion that you experience in that moment, the fright or the scare or the terrifying feeling that you felt. It captured the sweat glands that rolled off your forehead. It captured your heart rate moving really, really quickly when you encountered that stressful event. It captured everything. And when it captured it, it held it in your body. And so what most people do is they encounter a stressful event and they hold it in and they don't let it go. And when I say they hold it in by avoidance, meaning they don't take care of it. They let it sit in their bodies and then just move on with their day. They don't receive treatment. They don't talk about it much. And even if they do, they're not really allowing the emotion to move out of their body. They're just perpetuating the same type of emotion in talking about it again and again and again and again. So, the mechanisms of a fight or flight response is one in which a person encounters a stressful event. And in encountering that stressful event, the body has to react. When the body reacts, it starts to pump blood to your extremities, your hands, and your feet in case you have to run. It makes your muscles tense in case you have to punch or move in a very violent kind of way. It releases the hormones in your brain so that you have this adrenaline to do the action that you have to do very, very quickly. That's why when people are angry, they punch through a wall. They can barely feel it at the moment because the adrenaline has been so intensified at that time that it just kind of covers that moment for them. You have yourself sweating because in case you have to fight or fight, you're sweating to ventilate yourself so that when you get hot, you can cool yourself off. All these things are occurring during a fight or flight response. But because we're humans, we not only receive a fight or flight response when there is an actual threat, but we also receive it when there is a perceived threat. And that's the difference. That our imagination is so potent, so powerful, that it can conjure up a moment that's not real, but because we believe that it's real, or we start to feel the emotions of the thoughts that we're putting into our head, that we're not in a safe space, that the place that we are is dangerous, that the people that we are around are untrustworthy, etc. Our bodies then pursue that thought and conjures up all the emotions and the bodily functions and the bodily reactions that is needed to support that very thought. That's how powerful you are. That you not only allow your body to react for just an actual threat, but also a perceived threat. And so that brings me to the brain again. So in this midbrain, it does not have to communicate with the frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe is where you have your logical thinking, your rationale, your creativity, your language. So because it doesn't have to communicate with that in the heat of the moment, in your situation of an actual threat, because you have to react very quickly. We don't have time to think. We don't have time to get creative. We don't have time to evoke language if that's to if you're trying to explain something to someone. We don't have time for that. We have to react very quickly. And so it does not have to connect with that frontal lobe in that moment. But when you relive that experience, you conjure up the same emotions, but guess what? Your brain reads it the exact same way, meaning we're not going to evoke logic. We're just going to react. You find yourself in this perpetual loop, reacting, reacting in a split second, reacting. And so for my clients here, when I ask them the question of, do you find yourself angry? You don't know why. Do you find yourself crying? You can't fully put your finger on it. Do you find yourself depressed and you don't even know what was the catalyst that caused you to be depressed in the first place? Do you find yourself anxious and you don't know where this anxiety is coming from, but your heart is racing like your chest is coming out of your body? When you can't connect the dots and you've had a traumatic experience, that's the reason why you can't connect the dots. Your body's just reacting. It's just moving in a way that it thinks it needs to move because it thinks that something bad is about to happen, or you've thought that something bad was about to happen. So let me put it this way. So a woman who is in an alley and she is confronted by a man who has a heavy, husky voice, very funky cologne, right? And she's assaulted in that dark alley in the middle of the night. Your brain has captured all of those pieces of events, right? And so when it captured that, you can find that it becomes night and now you feel anxious all of a sudden. You can find that your boss is calling out your name and saying, "Hey, I need this report in like 2 weeks. Like, we've been waiting for it. We need it now." And because it's a demanding voice, you react in an angry way. You can find that your friends are saying, "Hey, let's go out and hang out tonight." But because the place that they want to go to is a small, confined, and dark space, you don't want to go. Now, can you trace it back to the trauma? Most times we don't. Because when we push it down, when we suppress it all the way down to our subconscious, the awareness of it, of those pieces of information, is not readily in our minds. And oftentimes, when we react to something, we become angry or we become sad or anxious about a situation, we find that after the moment has died down, that's when we can fully think in, do a review of what happened, and we see that we overreacted, that our response was disproportionate to the stimulus at the time. And so that is very, very symptomatic of an individual who has experienced trauma, that disconnect that they have. And so when we look at that, you can find yourself in the same perpetual loop. every day feels like Groundhog Day, where you are going through the same motions every single day and no day feels different. But friend, I want you to know that that can change, that you can harness the emotions that you experience and harness the thoughts that you have such that it shifts and alchemizes to a way that you find it to be beneficial. And the first thing that you would need to do is to really allow yourself to calm the thoughts down. When you are able to meditate and calm the thoughts down, it doesn't have to go to zero because that's hard in the beginning, right? But let it come down some and just give yourself a moment to be present in the moment. Take a breath, the breath that gives you life, the breath that's been keeping you going. Take that breath and be more present. Allow the thoughts to die down and allow clarity to come through. That will be your first go-to. Deep breathing is going to be your next go-to, but more so your intervention. Deep breathing, not when things have escalated, but as they seem like they're brewing up. You want to deep breathe and allow yourself to calm down. Deep breathing is the most scientific and most effective way of reversing your fight or flight response with no medication. If you can get a grips on your bodily awareness and knowing what you're feeling at any moment in time, I'm feeling hot all of a sudden, start to deep breathe. I feel my heart racing all of a sudden, start to deep breathe. I feel like my mind is racing all of a sudden, start to deep breathe. Right in the very beginning, not at the height when you feel like you've lost complete control, but in the very beginning, allow yourself to deep breathe. Now, after you found yourself in a calm place and you've allowed yourself to relax and you can think more clearly, because that's the only time when the smoke clears, that's the only time you'll get clarity. Now you want to start to unravel all the ways and all the things that brought about that particular moment. What was I thinking at the time? From those thoughts, what are my belief systems from that? Am I thinking that I'm not safe? And is it that I'm thinking that I'm not safe because I'm around people I don't know? And is it because that I'm around people I don't know is because I don't trust people? And is it that I don't trust people because I just feel like I've encountered some untrustworthy people in my life? And from me encountering those untrustworthy people in my life, did I find that there were certain situations where those untrustworthy people would appear? Like, begin to unheal the layers and figure out what is beneath all of this. Is it circumstantial? I would love you to look at how you play a role in all of it. Dig deep. Ask yourself questions like, if I could wave a magic wand, what would I have loved instead in this situation? What parts of me are being reflected? What is being mirrored back to me in this situation? What can I do within me that can allow me to change the circumstance in which I find myself in? Being able to introspect is your prime way to really allow yourself to unveil and unwind the cycle that you find yourself in. Without the introspection, there's no learning. And without the learning, we continue to cycle over and over and over again. And if you don't know the answers right away, again, meditation will allow clarity to come to you. So what you would do is you would go into a meditation and set the intentions for the question that you have. I'll give you an example. I talk about in my spiritual awakening series how I encountered a situation with family and how I felt like I was constantly giving, and it had gotten to a point where I would give. People would take, but then I would feel like I'm the victim of someone taking from me. But the real question for me is, why am I placing myself in a situation where I'm just disproportionately giving? What secondary gain am I getting from that allowed me to continue to be invested in giving despite my better judgment? How am I robbing other people from their own experiences and their own growth because I'm constantly showing up as their hero when they should be the hero of their own story? Why am I being upset with me giving and vultures coming? I make myself available to them. Do you see what I'm saying? And when I asked in meditation, why did that situation occur? The answer I was given is self-love. When I don't put myself first, that means I put someone else in front of me. And when I put someone else in front of me, that means their needs, their wants, their desires is what's primary. So why would I then be upset and label myself as a victim when I have prioritized someone else over me? And that's not to say that we can't balance the two, where we don't have to impede on someone else's needs to have our needs met. That's not the case. But how do I have self-regard, self-respect, self-love for me first before I offer it what I can to others, and knowing the limitations to that, being able to exercise and know without feeling guilty about it? So that's just one aspect of it. And there's many different avenues that we can go down with regards to like the level of introspection that's required for you to get and understand what is being mirrored back to me. What is this fear really showing me? Anger is a secondary emotion. So what am I truly feeling? Am I feeling overlooked, ashamed, embarrassed? And that's the reason why I become angry? What is that primary emotion that I'm not paying attention to that I need to pay attention to? When it comes to me feeling depressed, is it really about the external things in my life, or the fact that I don't feel like I'm worthy of, etc.? Worthy of love, worthy of feeling good, worthy of having someone who is compatible to me, worthy of someone who is trustworthy. So I keep putting myself in situations where I know it goes against my better judgment. So whenever we find ourselves cycling around the same thing, oftentimes it requires us to self-reflect. And once we're able to self-reflect and figure out what that pattern is, we unlock the loop and we're able to walk out of it. It just takes a bird's eye view. Like, take yourself out of the situation and get an objective view of what's going on. Like, if you were not in it, if it was your daughter, if it was your son, what would you say to them? If it was your younger self, what would you say to him or her? That's the type of introspection that you need right now to break free. But after you break free, there's still more work, because then we have to start to begin to think about, okay, what loops, what patterns keep us locked in? What thought patterns, what habits, what behaviors keep us locked in, and be able to walk away from those as well. And most importantly, what is required for me to break away from the identity that I've associated myself with regards to that trauma? Will I always identify myself as the person who X, Y, and Z? I'm going to just walk away from trauma for just a bit. So we can self-identify as someone who had cancer and make that our entire world. Or we can say that cancer does not define me. I define me. And cancer was just an experience that I had. But I am currently living a life fulfilled where there's so many other great things happening. And it's not just that one thing. Do you see what I'm saying? How do I walk away from harboring an identity to something that doesn't shine light in my world that doesn't really define who I actually am, how do I begin to break free from that identity? And here's the reason why. You manifest who you are. God gives you exactly who you are. And when that piece is still encoded in your identity, it just becomes a perpetual thing. So what is required for you to detach from that experience, heal from it, move the energy out of your body, learn the lesson so we don't have to play it again, and move forward? Those are the questions that needs to be answered. I have a course I created, and it's about manifesting from your sense of identity. And the reason why I carried this course was mainly for individuals who experience such high emotions, such intense emotions, and they feel that that gets in their way of truly manifesting the life that they want, because they're constantly cycling back and forth over the same old story from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was years ago, and never fully moving forward in the individual that they truly, truly are, never fully tapping in to their highest potential, never fully tapping in to their greatest, grandest, highest version of themselves. And if that's you, really consider something like this course to help push you along and really help you to gain the skill sets needed to really redefine life for yourself, to really see things differently. There's a link down in the bio, and you can purchase pre-sales for the course. It's at a huge discount at this point in time, but I just wanted to have a conversation with the individuals who find that these emotions are so strong, it's hard to wrap your mind around it. But the truth is, there is life on the other side. There's victory on the other side. There is so much more to yourself on the other side, and you don't have to remain captive to your emotions. If you're interested, again, link in a bio. More than that, I also have meditations that are helpful for people who are just trying to find their zen, trying to find their place of peace. If that is you, you can find the link in the bio with regards to the meditations that I offer. My mind is thinking about this individual who just needs to find a gateway to peace and solace, to their inner self, to hearing themselves again, to going back to their vitality again. And if that's you, I hope that these videos are helpful and it's really pushing you closer to where you want to be. And I look forward to continuing to serve you. Once again, I am Dr. Cindy Joseph. I am a licensed psychologist who's had a spiritual awakening. I've studied so many books on metaphysical and quantum physics. I've also become a certified hypnotist for past life regressions. If this sounds like something that you're interested in, continue to subscribe, like, share, and comment this video. Well, until next time.